Bullfrog Environmental has 16 years of erosion control experience. From silt fence to construction entrances, we specialize in it all. Give us a call at 936-672-3744 or leap over and visit us on the web at bullfrogenvironmental.com. Welcome to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. Craig Irwin, Brian Besh, Chris Moran on the far end down there here at Bullett Grill House. Wednesday night, 401 Highway 156. We're here each and every Wednesday night. Got a guest going to slide in here with us in segment 2 and probably through segment 3 of the show this week. Coach Vanover of the Livingston Lions going to hang out with us.
Yeah, he's fresh off a win over Huffman Hargrave this past week, and Lions looked really good in their win over the Falcons. They about like normal. They are able to run for a few hundred here and there, and did enough on defense to hold the Falcons to. We're watching this game over here.
The Astros are on, so if we get distracted throughout the show tonight,
I guess that's why. Should probably concentrate on what we're doing. But no, the Lions look good. They did enough on defense to hold the Falcons down in the first half there, and held on in the second half to get their first victory of the year after. And 5 losses in non-district, but we talked about it. I mean, it was.
We'll talk about that more. Coach Vanover gets in. Let him, with what's been going on with the program, kind of elaborate on that game from his perspective, right? Because he had a bird's eye view of the whole show, right?
Yeah.
This last week and the whole season. I'm curious to listen to what he has to say about the Livingston Lions and what's went on out there, but. We talked about Bullett Grill. What'd you have? I got here a little bit late before we got set up. What'd you have for the appetizer of the week?
The fried green tomatoes.
You went back to the green tomatoes.
And they were fantastic again.
They were pretty phenomenal last week, or 3 weeks ago. There's somebody rolling in with some jelly roll going on. But Chris, you got some good stuff going on here at Bullett Grill House.
We got a great weekend this week. We got, if you're not going to the game tonight, we got the Kimbros playing, so you can come out and catch some live music. We got Sunday, we got John and Katie playing. And then we got a great lineup of college football. Listen to the Saturday morning Bullett Grill House College Football pregame show so that you can know the lineup of the day. You decide if you want to come out for lunch or afternoon for dinner or just stay here all day.
Staying here all day. Last week was a good week to just hang out here, especially if you're a Texas college fan, right? Because the 2 big games that were going on.
It's a big weekend. And
and I'm talking about last week.
Last week was big. Last weekend was big. And a couple games we didn't even talk about. We're going to talk about there were a couple games last week that we didn't talk about. There were crazy upsets, or 1 year upset and 1 upset. So, and you never know what's going to happen in college football. It's a wild ride.
It really is. It really is. But just got in here here at the table with us outside on the patio. Coach Vanover in here with us, and had a lot of good games this last week. Had the privilege of going to the Woodville this last week and doing a game, doing the Cold Spring game, but. A lot of games going on in our podcast this last week. Brian, we kind of talked about Cleveland. The Woodlands put 70 up on Cleveland, and
probably didn't have to try very hard.
Probably not, and I didn't even follow that score. And we in the podcast we were able to really elaborate. And Coach Vanover, you're sitting in here, he can go with it with where you've traveled, but Cleveland has suffered such growth. Right, that's thrown them way up into that classification to where they're at. And, man,
they don't have a chance.
In your opinion, though, as a coach, right, how do you keep being in a situation like that? How do you keep kids focused and try to keep them encouraged to be involved in the program? Because, I mean, honestly, you're getting beat 70-6, 77, 70-14. Every week. I mean, 2 weeks ago, Willis put 75 up on them and set a school record for Willis. How do you keep your kids engaged?
Well, you really can't because as the years go by, they get sharper and sharper. You can't fool kids anymore. You can't. They're so up to date on everything. They've got all you guys. Everybody's got a broadcast of some type, and they pay attention to that stuff. They watch the sports stuff. They listen to and they're all in tune to it. And so you can't fool them. So you just got to appeal to their character and appeal to their love of participation and competition. And you got to try to develop a competition within themselves. And blot out the rest of it. And it's hard to do because, their best buddies are ragging on them all weekend.
Right.
And all week,
Yes.
Their friends, their family members, making sarcastic remarks. So it's tough. You can't do it. And that's not just happening at the varsity level. That's happening to them every Thursday night.
Right.
On Tuesdays, and on Mondays or Tuesdays at the junior high level. And it's just a shame because Cleveland was a once proud place. It was a fun place to play and coach against, and I've had some great games with them over the years when we were up in Diboll and playoff games and regular season games, and that growth situation has just absolutely, just fruit basket turned over. I mean, it's just terrible.
Right.
It's terrible.
A good friend of mine is a coach down there, and he coaches freshman basketball and stuff. And he's a legit football player, and you know who he is, Ivan Williams.
Absolutely.
And he's one of my best friends in the world. And I talked to him Saturday. I went down to Tarkington. They had a volleyball tournament. My niece was playing down there, and so I went and watched her play. And I called him. I was trying to get him to buy me lunch is what I was trying to do. And he was at Walmart, and he and Texas was playing at the same time. So he's trying to get out of Walmart to get home after getting out of meetings. So, but anyway, I asked him, I said, Tuffy, I said, man, and you can remember and you kind of talked about it, but, back when Ricky Tolis was coaching there in Cleveland in, 08 to 10 or 11, right in that time span. But Cold Spring and Cleveland would play, and it was standing room only.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
all the way around the track. It was just stupid, right? The amount of people that showed up. And that was back in the day when towns shut down to go to a high school football game. And I asked him, kind of the same question, how you do? He said, man, it's hard. He said, you just keep grinding and you try to pick high spots and coach the kids in that aspect and stuff, but you're just outnumbered, you're outsized. He said, and I asked him, I said, y'all are a 6A school playing with, I said, 3A numbers. And he says, he told me, he said, Craig, he said, I promise you, he said, it feels more like 2A numbers. Yeah. And that's rough.
Mediocre 3A numbers.
Yeah.
That's what, they've got 3A numbers, but not a good 3A. And like you talked about, when we were playing them years ago, 20 years ago up in Diboll, when we played we filled Humble Stadium.
Yes.
Humble ISD. I mean, we filled it. It was standing room only at the Humble Stadium when we played them in the playoffs.
Right.
And that's the difference now.
Yes.
And it's a shame because all those, Ivan's one of the few that'll hang in there, but those bloodlines are gone.
They are.
And they're just gone.
And I've begged
my son played an high school all-star game with Ivan. So
okay. So
I
Ivan
know
as well as I do.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I've begged Ivan to come up to Cold Spring. I was like, man, why don't you just come on up here? I feel like he could relate to the running backs, and he's a brother to me. He really is. I couldn't tell you how many meals I've eaten at his mama's house.
Absolutely.
And she, bless her heart, she was one of them ladies that there was always something to eat.
Yeah.
There was always something cooked, and it was always the best I ever had, except for hamburger. I never had a hamburger at her house, but I ate plenty of greens and squash and cabbage and everything else over there.
Like our kids now call it old people food.
Yes.
That's what they all tell me. That's all. Oh, Coach, no, we're okay. That's old people food. We don't want that.
They don't know what they're missing, do they? They really don't. They don't know what they're missing.
Well, Coach, you had to go through something similar whenever you started over here at Livingston because the program had been down. They had been taking 70 to 80-point losses, and you had to keep them engaged and keep them kind of on a path, even though your first couple of years didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. What was it that you did to get kids out and keep them focused and turn the whole thing around.
We tried to never let them see us sweat. We never let them see us grimace or anything. We never turned on them. We never lied to them. We were straight up brutally honest all the time. We had a great freshman class, and we knew it, and I refused to move any of them up. They stayed together, and they won like crazy, the freshmen and at the JV level as sophomores, and much to the chagrin of everybody in town. They were furious with me because I wouldn't move them up, and because that's all they had done. Every time they got to go, they yanked him up to varsity and just got him beat down to nothing. He quit by his junior year because he had all he could stand.
Yep.
So we refused to do that. We stayed positive as we could. We had to administer tons of discipline, do a lot of police work that first year with that varsity bunch. It was a constant problem, but no situation was going to be tougher than we were, and that was the big thing. And it would never allow it to crack our positivity and our openness of creating a two-way street of respect and trust. That's what we were going to do. They might not like what we said, but by God, they knew it was going to be straight up honest and truthful. And they knew we were not going to bleed them down. We were going to let them stay as a group and make their note. We didn't run the seniors off like a lot of people. So we're going to take our lumps and bruise. You've suffered for 3 years. You get a chance to be a senior once in your life, and we're going to let you finish this thing out. And we're going to coach you just as hard and well as we would if you were 10-0, or whether you're 0-10 doesn't matter. And I think those things they'd never seen or heard before. So that was a big selling point, I think. It took us 2 years, 2 good years to get to. Year 2 was a lot better. We were in 7 of the 10 ball games, and we won 2 of them. And, like you said, it was 1,020 days since they'd had the first victory or the last win when we got that first one against Shepherd, and it started, adding validity to what we were saying and talking to them constantly about. So.
And that year before, you guys had gotten blown out by Shepherd. You come back that next
I remember
year.
that.
They put 78 or 80 points, something else. So they had
at home.
At Livingston. They had about 3 of them did the same thing, on and on and on and on. Splendora, Dr. Schultz and the Mad Bunch, They were doing the push-ups. Their arms were swollen up, spasming. They'd do all their push-ups and show them during turning cartwheels on the sideline, throwing touchdown passes with a 50-point lead. That was, turnabout's fair play,
Yes.
It's hell when it comes back and that reward hits you in the face. And luckily we started doing that on years 3, 4, and 5.
And y'all did, and y'all have had some really successful seasons this year. We're going to talk about it as we progress on. This year's been a slow start for y'all. I got the privilege of getting to watch the Cold Spring Livingston scrimmage, first scrimmage of the season. First time I've been over at the high school with y'all's facility.
It's going to be beautiful when we get it finished. It's going to be a show place.
So I do a podcast every week. Myself and a guy named Toby Tolis and a guy named Trent Hart out of Anahuac. We do a podcast. And, one of the things we kind of led up talking about Huntsville's new stadium that they opened up this last week, which is super nice, right? And using y'all as reference and as what y'all are going to have, and it's going to be just as equal, right? As soon as y'all get everything, the school board and the district starts moving in that direction, right? And but man, just what y'all have for a practice facility, if you will, for right now, is just super nice. The turf field,
can't beat it. Just like today, and today's practices were wonderful. We had great practice because of it.
Right.
Walk out the door, practice, go home.
Water's not an issue, mud's not an issue.
No, that's exactly right. So.
And I can't wait for that to evolve, and I'm thankful to be a part of what I do and being able to go to those. Toby that does the games with me, he was kind of upset that scrimmage was there because his grandpa played.
Oh, I know. I've heard all those stories that I care to hear about. Okay?
I know.
At a certain point, you got to close the door.
I can tell you,
and I agree with you.
That's in the minority because I think people are ready to move on.
No, I agree with you.
Kids especially. That's what they got. We got to forget.
We
got to forget my bunch on up. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. What matters is 14 through 18-year-olds.
Yes.
That's who we got to sell this thing too, and why you're going to have it there.
And I can't wait for it to get there. And I don't know the timeline of when it's all going to take place and get done.
It's coming a lot faster than anybody knows.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I was asked this last week at Woodville. I did a game there. The guys from SCTX asked me, said, man, they opened up their new stadium yet? And I said, yeah, we had some scrimmages. They had some scrimmages there, early on this season. I said, but they haven't. It's not built out. And they said, man, I thought it was going to be open this year. And I said, I don't think anybody knows a definite date of when it's going to be open, but it's gaining traction and it's getting there. So I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait for that to open up. We're going to take a quick break here on the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. Got Coach Vanover of the Livingston Lions in the studio, or here at Bullett Grill House with us.
The outdoor studio.
We're Bullett Grill House studio. That's what we'll call the patio. It's the new studio. So we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Bullett Grill House. We're going to talk about the Livingston Lions game this last week. We'll talk a little bit about the Cold Spring Trojans, and then transition into the Pick'ems. I got a couple good games in the Pick'ems this next week that I'm really looking forward to. So you're listening to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show on 102.3 The Eagle and AM 1440, The Score.
Howdy folks, Randy here. At Randy's Rubs, it is our mission to bring you a variety of mouthwatering seasonings that are sure to make the ordinary extraordinary, to make the impossible possible. Creating memories with friends and family is what is most important to us, and we hope to be the cornerstone of your meals, making memories with the ones you love most. As all of you continue on your fall sports journey, Randy's Rubs wishes each of you an incredible season, and may each of you be an All-American. Go check us out on Amazon or at randysrubs.com. It don't suck, y'all.
Do you have a dream of sitting around and talking about whatever's on your mind? Well, we're here to make that a reality here at Texas Podcast Media. We are here to make your dream a reality. Come in, set up in our studio, we record, we edit, we do all the work, and we upload it to all the feeds. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, we do it all. Let us be your home for your podcasting. For more information, email us at info@texaspodcastmedia.com. Welcome back to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. Craig Irwin, Brian Best, Chris Moran, and special guest Coach Vanover of the Livingston Lions sitting in with us here at Bullett Grill House. And it's been a kind of a slow year being able to get coaches in here this year. Some of the schools going to 4-day school weeks and practicing a little bit later because they get out of school later and all that good stuff. I know that's one of the problems Coach Stanley has with being able to get out of here. He don't leave the school until 6:30. Throughout the week. But and then Coach Ratliff up there in Corrigan's dealing with the same stuff. I've talked to him throughout the season and getting out late, but able to get Coach Vanover in here. And, Coach, we appreciate you coming in. And
thanks for having us.
Getting to visit with you. And kind of we've talked about this Livingston Lion football team all year long and, year in and year out. And it's been a slow start as you didn't want, right, coming into this season. And I'm interested to as we progress on through the show, to kind of get your opinion. But what's not slow is the service out here at Bullett Grill. You see how I segued in there? Chris was sitting there on the far end, and I was doing my intro, Coach Vanover. He's like, man, he done left me out.
We were both eye rolling.
We're watching the Astro game, so it's somewhat of a distraction tonight.
We got the Stros going on here, sitting out here at the patio. Got two of the screens going. You got Phillies going. So got a lot of good stuff going on out here at Bullett Grill House.
Yeah, when just a couple reminders of some things coming up. The Wolf Creek Car Show is coming up on October 20th, 2021, and 22. If you're heading out to the Wolf Creek Car Show, I don't know what the exact mileage is, 7 miles away from Wolf Creek. Stop out here before, grab some lunch on the way. Don't wait in the line. And then afterwards, stop by on the way out, grab some dinner, watch some college football Saturday. We got Sunday. Usually awards are done by 3. We'll be open. We have some live music Sunday afternoon. So great place to stop before and after the Wolf Creek Car Show. And then we're actually doing our own car meet on Saturday, November 11th. So bring your car out. Not an official car show. We're not giving away prizes and stuff. We're not doing awards, but you want to bring your car out. That's Veterans Weekend. We're going to honor and salute for the veterans. We got some shirts and some things we're going to give away to people that bring their car out. But should be a good weekend. We like to honor the vets and kind of hang out and appreciate everything they do.
Be a lot of fun here at Bullett Grill House that weekend with the car show. I'm going to, since you've told me, I'm going to text my cousin here in just a minute and let him know his dad moved up here to Cold Spring about 8 months ago and has several classic cars. Another family that I've known my whole life just moved up here, so I'm going to have to let them know that way they can come out and hang out. And one's got.
Yeah, it's like I think we have a group of, they're going to be at Wolf Creek. They got about 11 cars. We know for sure they're going to be. And last year we kind of made it, we didn't really downplay it, but we just kind of said, hey, again, we're not doing a show. We're not giving away prizes. You don't got to worry about making it pristine or anything like that. Come on out, hang out. And we had 30 cars here last year.
That's awesome.
Kind of, so we expect it to be bigger than that. I think there's a lot of repeat people coming, so pack the parking lot with cars. Come out and check out some good cars if you just want to come visit, or if you want to bring your car out, bring it out, show it off.
Be a lot of fun. I may bring my old 84. Depends what playoff football games are going on that day. Because that's last year. So I play a golf tournament. Normally play Veterans Weekend. The union that I belong to, IUEC Local 31. They do a veterans golf tournament, and I normally play in it every year. Well, last year I played, and it was over in spring. I may or may not have partaked in a few adult beverages, but not only did I do that, but yet Brian and I left and went to Henderson after that. So I had to go all the way to Henderson to do that Corrigan game. Anyway, it was a super long day. Long story short, I'm not playing golf this year. They're doing it on Friday night. I'm not playing golf. I'm like, it's playoff football time. I'm going to a playoff game Friday night somewhere. And then Saturday, if I don't have anywhere appealing to go, I'm going to be right here at Bullett Grill House.
And like I said, we'll have some music. We'll have some great football on, a lot of great cars. So come on out.
Be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Coach, having you in here, y'all had a big win this last week for y'all, your first win of the season over Huffman, district game, when it really matters, right? I go back and I look at y'all's schedule, and I'm not going to remind you of the scores because I know they're embedded in your brain, but y'all played some really good football teams. I mean, you look at Needville, they're ranked in the top 10. Madisonville was in the top 10. Houston Legacy, storied program. Bel Air Episcopal, storied program, So it wasn't like you had
22-3. Our opponents were 22-3, and 3 of them in the top 10 ranking, and the other 2 should have been if they'd have been in the UIL situation. Loaded with talent. There were 27. There's 27 D1 athletes amongst all 5 of those schools. It was not a very smart schedule built. I'd like to catch up whoever did that. I'd get my hands on them.
That guy needs to get fired, doesn't he?
He sure does. I tell you what, it was fun for to compete against those guys like that. 3 times we really competed extremely well.
Yes.
Twice, two of the games we took the lead all the way into the 4th quarter and just couldn't hang
finish
on and finish it out.
Yep.
Okay. Took the lead at halftime against Palestine, and they exploded on us for about an 80-yard score on the first play of the second half, and we took it to the tank. And that just, in Madisonville, we just didn't come. We didn't show up.
Right.
We didn't show up, and they beat us like a drum.
Yes.
Okay. And but the deal was, we looked like a MASH 4077 unit all the way from after the Hardin Jefferson scrimmage. The week after we scrimmaged Cold Spring, down to Hardin Jefferson, and all of a sudden we started getting all these guys bunged up, and it just got increasingly worse. And we ended up with both quarterbacks. One had an MCL situation, and the other one broke his thumb. Well, when you've got 2 and both of them are down, things start changing. Well,
Yes, sir.
One of them went through it pretty much. One went to defense because they could cast his hand and thumb, and he played in the secondary. And the other one is just braced up and is working through it. You can worry about it later.
It affects you guys on both sides because you got guys playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Lost the best receiver, kick returner, defensive back in the district, Chevy Peters, still in the top 10 in 3 categories, and he hadn't played in 5 weeks.
Is he going to be back?
No, he's done. He broke his ankle and tore a tendon, and so it's been it was crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. 5 top players are on crutches or one of those scooters,
right,
on the sideline, and at absolutely the most key spots we had. So, but if we could just get to the open date and get to district, we could get most of them healed up for the most part. Get the quarterbacks back where they could get used to performing as they were, and it all clicked and came to fruition, and everything's in place now, and we are playing extremely well. We've had 3 of the best weeks of practice we've had since I've been here in 6 years, and it showed last week, and we're going to have it again for this week against Little Cypress because they're loaded for bear too.
Big game this week at Little Cypress. On the podcast we talk about the big numbers too, right? To get to the playoffs, you really want 3 because who wants to look at Tyler Chapel Hill in the first round of the playoffs?
Again,
we've been there, right?
3 times.
So, y'all's district, as we talk about it, and I've talked about it in our podcast, is it's so hard to figure out. District 9 3A, right? District 10 3A. We thought we had District 10 3A figured out, and then Buna crashed, and with what they have going on, and Orangeville's just all of a sudden blossomed, and they're playing really good football, and Tarkington's playing good football right now. So you look at those districts, and you think you can kind of figure out your top 4 or 5 teams, put them in a hat and draw, right, to pick who's probably going to win it. And we're dealing with that in District 9 3A right now. But y'all's district was really hard to judge, and I got to see obviously y'all in the first scrimmage of the season. Then Cold Spring played Splendora. I don't think Splendora is – I think Splendora is better than what they've showed win-loss record-wise, but yet they're having trouble getting over that hump, right? And so, that's the big game next to the last game of the season really for y'all to get that magic 2 number. But as you look at that district, though, it's so hard to predict because
I can tell you this.
The injuries you've had, right? People that are scoreboard watching don't know what you're going through, right?
Right in the football preview every year, I used to kind of give people an idea of who the better teams in Livingston's district was going to be. I've quit doing that a couple of years ago because I looked stupid. At the beginning of the year, I'd go back and read those stories, and it would be Lumberton or Huffman or Splendor that would go from first to last, and you can't do it in this district because there's somebody different every year that just comes out of nowhere.
Lumberton had a storied run last year for their program.
And had 18 starters back. They had that whole bunch. I'm telling you, they're loaded. They look like a major college team still. And they had some issues and some things that took place and happened to them during training camp in the first week, and then it just bottomed. It cratered on them. And now they've got it going back again now.
Yes.
And they're flexing their wings and their muscle, and they're legitimately the number 1 top ranked team and should be. And then Little Cypress right there by them, and with them all the way, and because they've got numbers, they've got gives, they've got speed, the enrollment's large, so they've got all the picks. Well, they're starting to come now. Little Cypress, got it ginned up last week against their Orange County opponent, the big Super Bowl with Vider High School, and that's the bloodletting there, and they survived it. So they're back again now. So they're 1-2.
And I said basically the same thing about back in our podcast earlier this week that we did, and subsequently you have Little Cypress this week. You got Vider the following week, then Splendora and Lumberton to finish off your season. And hard part is going to Lumberton. That's such a long drive down there.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
But
there's nothing worse, though, than Little Cypress.
Yes.
You talk about a haul.
I went to only time I've been to Little Cypress was to a baseball game. Cold Spring played Little Cypress, and I drove all the way down there, and I was like, man, am I ever going to get there?
Now you got to go back. That's the problem. You got to get back home afterwards. That's something.
That's almost as bad as what Lufkin's road trips are going to Dallas,
That's
right?
That's
Each and every week.
Right.
So, I'm out of District 10 4A just running down everybody. I mean, on paper, y'all are just as equal as what Little Cypress and Lumberton are with the 1-0 record starting district, and that's what matters. Them pre-district
we needed to start
games,
good. We needed a fast start. We needed to be solid and sound. We need to get back on track with what we do best, and that's run the football. We've got a bevy of great running backs, and we got an offensive line that is pretty much hard to match right now. They can play, and that's the only we hadn't had an injury. I hope it's not
and
a snake
they're finding
bite.
new running backs every week.
Every week we've been hoping that he was the one who'd been out he was one of the injured bunch, and he got back and looked like he'd never missed a day. So
that's awesome.
Runs for 100 yards on his first game
Jabari
back.
Carter first game back goes about 106 yards, something like that. Breaks for a long distance run, and they score, and it gets called back. But we can run the football. Now we just got to take that next step and be able to throw those play action passes off of it, actually, with those two gimped up quarterbacks. But we're going to be fine, and we just got to slow some folks down. But when you're dominating the clock and the time with that running game, we're not going to give them many shots at it.
Right. You're going to eat up a lot of clock, much like Cold Spring trying to do with the slot T that they've been running. Eat up a lot of clock as much as they can. And, if you have to, you let that run set your pass up. And, you adapt. And with getting your quarterbacks, them starting to come back and everything, that's gonna build y'all, and at the right time, right? It looks
absolutely,
like I say, it looks bad on paper whenever you look at it. It's like, man, Livingston, they ain't won a game, but yet it takes that one game with Huffman, right? Y'all got a big win, and that's a confidence booster for them kids.
Absolutely.
Now them kids feel like we can beat anybody. We beat Huffman, we can beat anybody. And I know Corrigan, backing up talking about Cold Spring, Corrigan suffered a tough loss. Cold Spring goes to Corrigan. They put up 17 points in the first half. That was more than they had scored all year. They go into the halftime. It's like they come out second half. They're rejuvenated, and they played football. Now, Cold Spring ended up stretching it out. You had a running back that ran for 258 yards that game. And Tiger Parker's hard to stop for the Trojans. Woodville was able to figure out a way to stop them this last week. But was saying that is you look at Corrigan and the tough schedule that they had, that game against Cold Spring was that eye-opener. Hey, we're still good.
Absolutely.
We're young, but we're good, and we're better than what we've been believing in ourselves. And they've had a successful season thus far as they rolled into district play. And they can't wait to get to that Centerville game to play for a district championship. And I'm hoping that we get down, that we're talking about y'all playing for that 1-2 seed.
We get, you're sitting there with a Vider looming large hiding behind the rocks, waiting for you to get off a little Cypress, and then you talk about the epitome, the textbook Bible of the slot T.
Yes,
is Vider High School, and they've
how many years they've been running that? 100?
2 decades
since they opened the school.
I believe that.
In the 80s, in the 70s and 80s, when I was coaching down in Beaumont, they had a guy named Phil Brown who was Jeff Matthews and all those guys. They all played for him, but they were Power I. They just ran the Power I. They would have the leading rusher in the district every year. They might win 2 games, 3 games. They ended up he turned it around and won the district. All those boys' senior year, but their tailback would average about 48 carries a game. Okay, in the Power and just run a wham, and then run a toss sweep, and they throw 2 passes a game. So there's no difference in that and what they're doing right now.
Exactly, just change the formation. We're going to take a quick break here on the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. We're going to talk briefly about the Cold Spring game last week and the games coming into this week. Jump into the pick'ems. So, Coach, I want you to sit in on the pick'ems just to hear what we got up there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take a break here at Bullett Grill House. We'll be back right after this. Bullfrog Environmental has 16 years of erosion control experience. From silt fence to construction entrances, we specialize in it all. Give us a call at 936-672-3744 or leap over and visit us on the web at bullfrogenvironmental.com.
Howdy folks, Randy here. At Randy's Rubs, it is our mission to bring you a variety of mouthwatering seasonings that are sure to make the ordinary extraordinary, to make the impossible possible. Creating memories with friends and family is what is most important to us, and we hope to be the cornerstone of your meals, making memories with the ones you love most. As all of you continue on your fall sports journey, Randy's Rubs wishes each of you an incredible season, and may each of you be an All-American. Go check us out on Amazon or at randysrubs.com. It don't suck, y'all.
Welcome back to the Bullett Grill House High School Sports Pregame Show. Craig Irwin, Brian Besh, Chris Moran, Coach Vanover with the Livingston Lions sitting in here with us, and had a lot of good talk. That normally helps when he turns that on.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, you never turned your mic on. We got you loud and clear now.
Okay.
We could hear you before. We can
Really hear me now.
Yes. Like I'm playing with the audio now. I was like, Brian was hitting it. It's like, man, the audio's real low on him. I said, man, I keep telling you, get closer to the mic. And
No, we got to fix now. Let's see, we need the engineer here.
Yeah,
well, if he
I was
would have
about
been
to
here,
say we really need Ken here because
Yes.
he's the guy that usually does this after about the 7th or 8th time.
we would have had the 4th set of headphones too.
Yeah.
Here at Bullett Grill House, let's talk about it, Chris.
Hey, we got you're gonna hear bingo in the background in a minute. Every Wednesday night, we've got great bingo. Friday night, we've got some red plate specials that we do this Friday night. I mean, you're listening to it now. You got a short time to get here if you're listening to this broadcast, and if you're not going to the game, we're doing a chicken fried steak this Friday, so it's always a good choice.
I'll have this up on a podcast tonight.
Oh well, then
So-
if they get
so
the
they'll
early
be able to
version,
listen.
they could get here Friday before the game.
We've been averaging
Grab some
about
chicken
30
fried steak.
We've been averaging about 30 downloads whenever I get it loaded up to the podcast on TexasPodcastMedia.com. I get it up there, about 30 downloads before Friday.
So they can get out here. I'll tell you what's really taken off. We do we've played around with some different things on Tuesday. We do a Taco Tuesday. We got 9 tacos. We do a taco the night. Man, we are flying tacos out on Tuesday nights. We do some great, really custom. We still, you can get the beef, bean, chicken, basic tacos, but we do a bite the bullet taco. We do a brisket taco, but not with like lettuce, tomato like you do. We do like you'd get a brisket,
Right.
like barbecue. You get onions, pickles, barbecue sauce in it. We do so we've got 9 great signature tacos, and this week's taco, I don't know if you had the habanero burger yet, the sweet and spicy
Yes.
habanero
Yeah.
burger. So we did a sweet and spicy habanero taco. So basically, the stuff that goes in the burger, it had some grilled onions, bacon, ground beef with 2 cheeses, and then that habanero sauce that you can eat a few bites of, and then it starts burning on you. Burning on you bad.
That's the good stuff.
2 weeks ago, I had the burger, and I got halfway through, and then I was just eating the bread. I had to try to cool it down.
That's what I did the first time. I did the same thing. I ate about half it. I said, "This is not that hot," and then I got halfway, and I just took a little breath. I'm like, "Wow, I don't know if I can eat."
2 weeks ago, that's what I ordered, and I had to start eating the bread, trying to cool my mouth off. I mean, it's one of them deals that it just sneaks up, and literally, we ought to call it the rattlesnake, right? But Rachel and I have gotten that a couple times, and I guess I didn't realize it was that spicy because we would split it, right? We do the single meat and split it because I got to hold my girlish figure, and we would split it, but I'm tossing back a couple adult beverages or whatever, and I didn't realize it. But 2 weeks ago, I was trying to be a big boy, and I
Eat your
found
own.
out I wasn't as big as what I thought I was.
Yeah, I tell you, that was we did a little burger challenge for March Madness one year, and that's the burger that won. So a bunch of our staff came up with burgers, and we did a week by week one burger against each other
Little
kind of
tournament.
bracket,
Yeah.
and that burger won. I tell you, that's become one of our best selling burgers all time. I mean, between our Bite the Bullet burger, the habanero burger, sweet and spicy habanero we call it, and our jalapeno popper burger, those 3 signature burgers just crush everything else.
Dude, it's legit good. It really is. I'm going to tell you what wasn't so good. The Cold Spring Trojans this last week. We went to Woodville, and, Woodville had Franklin first game of the regular season this year, and it was Woodville had Franklin on the ropes. And being able to go and getting to talk to the guys at SETX, they did the broadcast for them, and said it was a fourth quarter turnover late in the game that gave Franklin the edge. I mean, that's how good Woodville is. But to turn around, Woodville drops one to Diboll, and come to find out, they had 3 kids get ejected from that game. I don't know the history, don't know what happened, didn't ask, don't care really. But whenever you lose 3 key players in a game in the first half, it's hard to rebound from that. Diboll, and that's what put Diboll in the driver's seat. They're out of that district. But we got to go down there, and I'm going to tell you, Woodville's legit good. Their X's and O's, I mean, their defensive line just dominated Cold Spring all night long. 28-18 was the final, and they dominated the entire time. Cold Spring scored. How much they dominated, and Coach, you can appreciate this on a winning side, is Woodville turned the ball over 3 times. They had 2 interceptions and a fumble. One of the interceptions was a pick 6, then an interception and a fumble. Cold Spring scored on a kickoff return. KJ Harden went 92 yards to return a kickoff, and that was just the wedge was set. He had good vision and got downfield and was able to score. So the offense scored on one play, and it was a trick play, 27 yards. It was a stupid jet sweep pass to Caden Barton, and he runs up underneath it and scores. Offense wasn't able to do anything. Whenever we talk about KJ Harden, you talk about the running backs, Tiger Parker had been averaging 225 yards a game. And I had the clock keeper in the press box. He just burnt me on the air. He goes, why they keep running the same play? He's like, he can't go nowhere. And I was like, the kid's been averaging 225 yards a game. He comes back with, well, y'all must not have played anybody. On the air. I'm like, I can't mute this. I get burnt. Tiger Parker had 68 yards on 16 carries. KJ Harden had 16 yards on 9 carries with a 92-yard kickoff return. Cookie McGowan had 10 yards on 3 carries. David Rowe, 6 yards on 3 carries, 27 yards passing. And then Caden Barton had 1 catch for 27 yards and a touchdown. All of that, 127 team yards, 100 yards rushing, 27 yards passing.
They didn't get the receiver involved in the game?
They couldn't. The speed that Woodville had, and that's –
because, I mean, he's the best athlete on the team.
Luke Monroe is.
Yeah.
He is the best. He did not touch the field until the fourth quarter of the second half, was having cramps. The best athlete on the field is cramping up. That means that he's not got enough hydration, throughout the week getting ready for them Friday night games. And he's not in at quarterback. You got David Rowe in at quarterback, the sophomore, starting at the quarterback. Luke's at a wideout position, and then playing free safety. He's playing the same amount of minutes, right, but not as active, if you will, from the quarterback. And I guess really, if you look at it, he's more active playing at a free safety and a receiver position. He's constantly running, but at the end,
he was the only reason that Cold Spring could get positive yards against you guys in the scrimmage. I mean, he was a fantastic athlete, and he was running all over the field. And
yeah, David was. The 2 completions that David Rowe had in that scrimmage, late in the live scrimmage, right, were to Luke Monroe, and it was because Luke Monroe made athletic plays to run back underneath the ball. That's what kind of an athlete he is.
You got to find a way to get him the football somehow, whether it's screens or ends arounds or something.
I'm telling you, I put his hand in the dirt and make him be a running back. I mean, you do whatever you can.
Whatever's got to happen.
And not taking anything away from Tiger Parker. I mean, Tiger Parker's had a heck of a season running the ball. I mean, he's if he's not over 1,000, he's right at 1,000. And this game this last week really hindered that. But we picked Cold Spring to be that 4 seed out of the district, or I did. Whenever I sat down and look at it, I actually have Westwood winning the district, Woodville 2, Diboll 3, Cold Spring 4.
And he wants to revise that in the worst way.
Yeah, but it's on record, right? And I can't revise it. It was funny. I told them guys, I said after the first week of district, I said, can we just delete that podcast? And I'm like, I already had 120 something people download it. I'm like, there's no way we can delete it now. It's out there. There's sound bites somewhere. But it was back to what we were talking about in the last segment, whenever you sit down and you try to figure these districts out and how hard y'all's district is to figure out. Go ahead. How hard y'all's district is to figure out. They're all really that hard. I mean, you scoreboard watch and you look at returners that are coming back from the year prior and such. Coaching changes, you take that. I mean, you look at Crosby and what they've done. New coach this year. I mean, what have they won, 1 game this year? And you're talking about a Crosby team that's really good, that's going to be really good. They got a freshman class that it's their freshman year. They've beat from 7th grade, 8th grade. They've just absolutely run through North Shore every year. And, my buddy Toby, he thinks this is the year that Atascocita beats North Shore. And so, of course, North Shore got a new coach this year. Their head coach promoted up, moving up into the college ranks. So it makes it interesting. But back to the Cold Spring deal, Cold Spring just got outplayed. Woodville was faster. They were stronger. They were more athletic than what Cold Spring was. And at the end of the day, if your guys gave everything that they had, and I believe Cold Spring did, they just got beat on the field. And it happens. Mm-hmm. Sure. It happens. It wasn't due to kids laying down. They just got beat. The O-line got beat. When they're trying to run out of that slot T, they're trying to run that outside pitch, and KJ Harden's running backwards in east and west versus getting north or south. It's hard to turn positive yards, and the stats showed for it. 16 yards total rushing on 9 carries, but it was like, okay, this isn't going to work, getting it on the edge. They're faster than what we are. We're going to go back to the inside run. So they went to the inside run. It was unsuccessful as they just got beat on the O-line. So then what's the next thing you do? You try to go to the air, right? They go to the air the second half. Luke Monroe's not in the game the whole third quarter. So you got 4 wideouts. You got the quarterback in the gun, and it's like, who are you going to throw to, right? That's what Woodville's looking at, and that's what as a broadcaster, that's what I was looking at. I was like, who are you going to throw to? You got Caden Barton that can catch, that's not super fast, right? He's a good player. He's not an elite player. Probably runs a 4.7, 4.8 40, right? And that's just not fast enough against a really good Woodville team. And it just, the second half they crumbled, and Woodville got the win, and hats off to those guys, and they played a really good game, and I'm looking forward to following them through the playoffs. But that brings us into this week. We talked about it a little bit. Coach, y'all got Little Cypress, Mauriceville, going to be on the road. Big game, really the biggest game of the season for y'all. Both of y'all going into this game undefeated in district, and that's all that matters. So what's y'all's game plan going in there to play a good Little Cypress team?
And tell us the first 3 plays, too.
Yeah. Number one, we want to stay undefeated. Secondly, we know we have to run the football. We've got to run the football from all 3 of our running back positions at the same time. We've got a great concept and scheme that puts pressure inside, outside, both the right and left side at the same time, as well as the quarterback keeping off of it. And then we've got to be able to throw the ball off of those runs, which is what we haven't done real well, but we got increasingly better the last 2 games at it. We got to stop the explosive plays on defense, those 40-plus yarders that go the distance. If we knock those off, we're going to be in good shape. But number one is we have to control the ball, and we can't turn it over.
Control the ball, control the clock, you control the game.
And that's kind of what has been impressive about you guys to me, is that everybody knows what to expect. I mean, there's no big surprise whenever they face Livingston. They know they have to stop the run. You guys are seeing 9 and 10 guys in the box and you're still able to run the football.
Still averaging right at 300 yards a game. And so once we get the other parts, just a little of the wrinkles out of it, it's really going to be something special. No, not in my wildest dreams would I have thought we'd be sitting there 1-5, but we didn't know all that non-competition stuff was going to take place. All those injuries just decimated us all boom at one time. So it's over with, it's done with, and we kept getting better even in spite of it. So if we can even out the other facets of the game and match our running game capabilities, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I'm looking forward to the game. I will be in Cold Spring. Chris is going to – Bullett Grill House is going to be serving up the press box dinner, aren't y'all, this week?
We are. We're supposed to be, yeah.
What are we bringing? Brisket chili?
Brisket chili. I mean, I keep wanting to do something different, but that's the
easy.
staple and one of our best things, right?
It really is, and it's good. And I enjoy having that before the game. Get to meet with the county judge and all them because he doesn't miss a meal that they have. So getting to do that, I'll be there early Friday night. And I'll definitely be in over there.
Sounds like you slip one of those habanero burgers in on him.
I tell you, if you send one of them, I can promise you that I may be late to the game. But that dude's good. My mouth will be on fire. There's no telling what I'll throw out on the broadcast, right? Because it'll just be me up there. I think Russell Wilburn's coming. But so the brisket chili, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to be sure to let the press box guys know that's down there.
Yeah, don't forget to go down there and get some.
No, I promise you I'll be there. I'll probably get me a side bowl to carry up for halftime. What?
Hey, there's usually plenty. We give them a pretty big batch. They never say we had too much though. We never get say no. That was too much. Yeah.
It's like Brian whenever they do the press box meals up there at Livingston. Like a couple weeks ago, they did it. Ken did the press box meal barbecue, and Brian ate on it through Wednesday when we got back to Bullett Grill.
Yeah, I mean that was about 7-8 meals, so yeah. It was good even 4 days later.
Did you share with your wife?
You know, sometimes I do, but usually no.
Okay, I had to ask.
I mean, you've seen how small she is. She doesn't get to eat much. I pretty much I hog everything.
Well, and I don't blame it. Well, let's jump into our pick'ems, and as we kind of run late on some of them other segments, so we're going to jump into it. First game in the Week 8 pick'ems is New Waverly on the road at Hemp Hill. New Waverly was that team that we seen early on that wasn't very successful. We watched them against Anahuac. We watched them against a couple other, mediocre teams and not very successful. But yet they found themselves to be in the driver's seat. But they're going to be on the road this week at Hemp Hill.
Am I going to go first?
I'll go first.
I got New Waverly if I'm going first.
You got New Waverly.
I'll jump and take New Waverly because I don't even know. Hemp Hill. Is that what do you say? Hemp Hill?
Hemp Hill.
What? Who are they playing?
They're playing New Waverly.
Yeah, but I haven't heard of the other. I've only heard. I'll take New Waverly because I don't know the other one.
They're a small.
We've talked about it. I don't remember talking about. We've talked about New Waverly like once or twice.
Hemp Hill is a very small, deep East Texas town.
He's going to throw Marfa into one of these picks. I just know it.
No, I'm not. Y'all are going to be.
We're going to start picking. We're going to start picking games out of Florida or something next. So.
Right. So we're all going across the board to New Waverly. Next game, Coach Vanover, Swamp Bowl, Anahuac and East Chambers. Really good game. East Chambers has some kids back. They had some injuries. Got some of those kids back. Anahuac's going to be on the road down there. Both teams even in district. Going to be a good one. Brian?
I'm going to go East Chambers.
Brian's going East Chambers.
East Chambers. I'm going Anahuac.
I am too. I'm going to go Anahuac, and they beat Kirbyville last week, and I was really surprised that they won that game. And honestly, because Kirbyville has a linebacker that's just absolutely legit man-child.
So
and
surprised that you're picking him again this week.
It's only one player, but Coach Allen's done a great job down there in Kirbyville. And Kirbyville was a team that I had picked to be probably the 4 seed. And now, I mean, really, there's a 3-way tie I say there's a three-way tie for second as Orangefield's in the driver's seat out of that district. But that's going to be a good game. My buddy Trent is going to be doing that game on Anahuac Sports Live, and I'm looking forward to that, seeing how that turns off. Brian, we're going to get your opinion on this one. Lumberton at Vidor. I didn't put Livingston in the pick'ems this week for one reason, because I knew you was going to be here. So I didn't want to put Brian on the spot.
Well,
I think this is going to be a really good game.
I do too, and like everything in me wants to pick Vidor, but I can't.
Yes.
If you can't hear that, Coach said it's the number one defense versus the number one offense, and
who's got number one defense? Vidor's number one defense.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this: Lumberton's had some issues early on, which puts Vidor to having that number one defense, right? Lumberton had some guys that were out and some stuff going on. Now they got everybody back. Don't turn it off. You're on.
No, I'm just making sure. I don't want you to mute me or something.
I'm not muting you. I'm not.
Why is he always trying to
And
change our? He tries to sway our
and
picks.
what you do, he's going to change your pick, and all of a sudden he's.
No,
in the
I'm
lead
staying
on
with
the
Vidor.
pick'ems.
Number one defense. Defense wins games.
I agree. Defense wins championships. That's for dang sure. I'm going to tell you what, and I'll let Brian go last. I think both of these teams overall are pretty closely matched whenever you put them on paper. I cannot pick against the home team in this situation. I think home field advantage goes a long way. I'm going with Vidor.
I'm picking Lumberton, and I don't want to. I
Well,
want to
then
be
don't.
all brave and pick Vidor, but I can't.
Well, it's okay. I was brave for you. Here's one. Jumping down into 3A. Number 9, Hitchcock at number 2, Columbus. Quarterback for Hitchcock just committed to Texas Tech 2 weeks ago. This is going to be if I didn't have a game to do, this is probably the game that I would be at.
Columbus.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I think we're going to go unanimous in this. I'm going to go with Columbus too. And I'm going to tell you, I feel like that if Columbus was to face Franklin, Columbus is going to win that football game. Franklin struggled this year, Coach. And one of the big games that I look at is a game that you were involved in was the Livingston-Madisonville game, and then Madisonville going the next week down there to Columbus. And Columbus absolutely had their way with Madisonville.
That's the connection that I made because I remember Columbus doing that, and it's I don't. Who's number one if they're number 2?
Franklin.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you, with the struggles that Franklin's had this year,
I still wouldn't pick against Franklin.
I would pick Columbus in that game. I would. I would bet you a habanero burger at Bullett Grill House.
I mean, there's certain schools I'm not going to pick against. I'm not going to pick against North Shore. I'm not going to pick against Franklin.
And you're not picking against Tarkington.
Usually I'm not going to pick against Newton. And, well, Tarkington's more of a, I'm behind them. I'm their
That's the
number
only
one
Longhorn fan you're a fan of, right?
I can't be,
That
yeah.
and Hampshire Finette, maybe? Dude, have they not had a great year?
It's rough for me to root for any sort of Longhorn, but I'm behind Tarkington.
Westwood coming to Cold Spring, guys. I'm going to go last.
And I know where you're going with it because of all your Westwood love. Cold Spring burnt me last week, and that's why I'm going to pick them again this week because why not, right? I'm not going to pick Cold Spring whenever, the die ball game comes around.
Next week?
Yeah, I won't pick them then, but I'm staying behind them this week.
Chris?
Well, I'm picking Cold Spring. We're bringing some brisket chili. We're going to bring some good vibes, and we're going to bring them a victory.
So it's Bullett Grill House. I mean, there's your extra 3 points.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to be doing the broadcast. I'm going to have a great seat in the house. I'm going to have some great Bullett Grill House brisket chili, not only before the game but during the game because I will carry a bowl up to the press box. I'm going to go Westwood in this one. I watched Cold Springs' offensive line get dominated. Now, there's a method to my madness. I'm going to pick Cold Spring, and Cold Spring's going to come out and dominate after their performance last week against Westwood.
Just to show you.
Just to prove me wrong. But I got to go with Westwood. I know what they've had over the last couple of years. They didn't graduate but like 4 from their team last year. They're a really good football team, and it was a turnover late in the game that gave Diebold the ball for them to go up 14-3. But it was Westwood had a dogfight with Diebold, and we know what kind of team Coach Morrison has over there. I'm going with Westwood, and I'm probably going to lose a follower or 2, but it's okay.
I hope they give you a nice rant before they leave, though.
No, they will. They will. They'll give me a hard time. I'll probably have to wait till the stadium empties before I can leave out of there. But if that's what I got to do, I got to do. Hopefully Cold Spring will get the win. But that's going to do it for us here in Week 8 of the Bullett Girl House High School Sports Pregame Show. Craig Irwin, Brian Besh, Chris Moran. Coach Vanover came in with us, and always great having him in the house with us.
Definitely.
Each and every year, getting to visit with him and what's going on over there with the Livingston Lions. So y'all have a great night. We're going to send it back to the studios, get ready for kickoff. We'll see you at the game. Do you have a dream of sitting around and talking about whatever's on your mind? Well, we're here to make that a reality here at Texas Podcast Media. We are here to make your dream a reality. Come in, set up in our studio, we record, we edit, we do all the work, and we upload it to all the feeds. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, we do it all. Let us be your home for your podcasting. For more information, email us at info@texaspodcastmedia.com.